Hello, my name is Camila. I am 24 years old and I live in New York City. I came here 6 months ago from Brazil. Now, I want to tell you my story. When I arrived in New York, everything felt big and fast. The streets were full of people, yellow taxis, and tall buildings. But my world felt very small. I didn't speak much English. One morning, I was on the subway. 2 women were sitting in front of me. They were talking in English. I didn't understand everything, but I listened carefully. I was nervous, but I smiled and said, "Hello, my name is Camila. I am learning English." The women looked at me and smiled back. One of them said, "Nice to meet you, Camila." Her name was Sarah. The other woman was Mia. They were friendly and spoke slowly. I told them I was from Brazil. They said, "Your English is good. Keep going." We talked for a few minutes. It wasn't a long conversation, but it made me feel very happy. I wasn't afraid anymore. When the train stopped, I said goodbye. Sarah gave me her phone number. She said, "If you need help, just call." That moment changed everything for me. That same night, I made a promise to myself. I will study English every day. I want to understand people. I want to speak with confidence. After that subway conversation, I felt stronger. I searched online for an English school in New York. I found one not far from my apartment. I signed up for a beginner class. My first day was on Monday. I was a little nervous, but also excited. I walked into the classroom and saw other students. We all smiled at each other. Our teacher came in. Her name was Miss Taylor. She was young, kind, and full of energy. She welcomed us and said, "You can speak English, believe it." We introduced ourselves. There were students from many countries: Korea, Mexico, Turkey, China, and me from Brazil. I liked hearing their names and stories. Miss Taylor told us something important. She said, "You don't need to study grammar all day. You need to use English every day. That's how you really learn." I felt happy when I heard that. Books were always hard for me, but I loved talking, listening, and practicing. Her method gave me hope. She said, "Language is not rules, it's connection." We learn a language to speak with people, to share ideas, feelings, and dreams. So we will use English, not just study it. That made sense to me. I wanted to talk, not just read. I wanted to live in English, not fear it. That was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. On Tuesday, I went back to school. During class, a student named Hannah from Japan asked a question. She said, "What is the best way to learn new words?" Everyone looked at Ms. Taylor. Miss Taylor smiled and said, "The best way is reading." She told us that people who read learn vocabulary faster than those who don't. She said, "Try to read at least 30 minutes every day, but choose something you enjoy. A short story, an article, or a simple book. If you like what you read, you learn more." That made sense to me. She gave more advice. If you see a word you don't know, look it up. Use a simple dictionary. You don't need to write it down. Just understand it. She continued, "The more you read, the more you see words in real sentences. You learn not just the word, but how to use it correctly." After class, I went to a small library near my apartment. I borrowed a short book called Anna's Day in New York. It was very easy, but I liked it. At home, I read the first 2 pages. When I saw a new word, I searched it on my phone. I read the meaning, then read the sentence again. It helped a lot. I started doing this every evening. It became a habit. I didn't feel pressure. I felt proud. Little by little, I understood more English around me. On Wednesday, I returned to class. There was a student named Miho. He was from South Korea and very quiet. That day, he finally spoke. He told Miss Taylor, "My pronunciation is bad. I'm afraid to speak because I don't sound right." He looked nervous, but honest. Miss Taylor smiled and said, "Many students feel this way. But I will teach you something that helps. It's called shadowing." She explained the method. You listen to someone speaking English, then you repeat the same words right after them. Copy their voice, speed and tone. She showed us a video of someone talking slowly in English. We watched and repeated the words. I felt silly at first, but then it became fun. Miss Taylor said, "This is how babies learn. They listen, repeat and slowly speak well." It made me feel better. At home that night, I played the same video again. I repeated each sentence out loud. It was like singing with English. My voice was slow and soft at first. But with practice, I got stronger. I started using shadowing every day. And I was no longer afraid to speak. After class, I went to the front desk. I asked the woman there, "Are there any sports here?" She smiled and said, "Yes, we have a volleyball team and a dance group." That made me happy. I love sports. Later that day, I joined the volleyball group. The students were from many countries: Spain, Turkey, Japan, Italy, and India. Everyone was friendly and I felt welcome. The next day in class, we had a new student. Her name was Julia. She was from Italy. Miss Taylor smiled and said, "Welcome back, Julia." She had been in the same class last summer for 2 weeks. Julia spoke English very well. Her pronunciation was clear and her words were strong. Miss Taylor asked, "Your school in Italy must be amazing." Julia smiled and said, "I don't go to school. I learn at home." We were surprised. Julia said, "I read books. I do shadowing and I think aloud in English." I had never heard about thinking aloud. So I raised my hand and asked, "What does that mean?" Miss Taylor explained, "Thinking aloud means you say your thoughts out loud. In English, you speak your ideas even when you're alone. It helps your brain learn to think in English, not your first language." She said, "You may feel a little crazy at first, but it works." Then she asked Julia to share more. Julia nodded and said, "I started with simple sentences." She gave examples. "I can speak English. I want to learn more. I need to practice every day. My English is not perfect, but I can try." Julia said that at first her thoughts were in Italian. She had to find simple ways to say them in English. But after a while, she stopped thinking in Italian. Now she thinks in English most of the time. One day she met a tourist from Australia. They spoke English together. She didn't translate in her head. She just spoke. She said. That's when I knew I was improving. That inspired me. After class, I started trying the same thing. I walked home thinking, I like learning English. I can do this. And for the first time, I believed it. On Thursday, I went to my new job. It was a small cafe near Central Park. I was a little nervous, but also excited. I wanted to practice my English with real people. My manager's name was Tom. He was kind and spoke clearly. He said, "Don't worry, Camila. You will learn fast." That made me feel better. At the cafe, I made coffee and cleaned tables. Sometimes I took orders too. When customers spoke quickly, I didn't understand everything. But I smiled, listened, and asked questions. Some people were very patient. One woman said, "Your English is good. Keep practicing." Another said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Brazil." And they smiled. At the end of the day, I was tired, but proud. I had spoken English all day. It was not perfect, but I tried. And every small success gave me hope. Back at home, I sat on my bed. I thought about my day. The subway, the coffee, the customers. Everything was part of my learning. I wrote in my notebook. Today, I worked in English. Today, I didn't give up. Today, I grew stronger. 1 week later, something big happened. My manager, Tom, said, "Camila, can you answer the phone today?" My heart started beating fast. I had never answered a phone in English before. Face to face was easier. I could see people. On the phone, I only had the voice. No smiles, no gestures, just words. I looked at Tom and said, "I can try." He smiled and said, "That's all I ask." The phone rang. I took a deep breath and picked it up. "Good morning, Café Green. This is Camila speaking." I said. There was a pause. Then a woman said, "Hi, I'd like to order 2 sandwiches and 1 coffee, please." She spoke fast, but I focused on the words. I repeated, 2 sandwiches and 1 coffee. "Yes," she said, "for pickup in 15 minutes. I wrote it down. I was shaking a little, but I said, "Your order is ready in 15 minutes. Thank you." When I put the phone down, Tom gave me a thumbs up. "You did it," he said. I couldn't stop smiling. That night, I called my mom in Brazil. I told her, "Today I answered a phone call in English." She said, "I'm proud of you." And in that moment, I was proud of me too. On Sunday, I had no work and no class. I decided to explore the city. I wanted to visit a bookshop I saw online. It was in Brooklyn across the river. I took the subway alone for the first time. I checked the map, counted the stops and felt brave. But when I got off, I didn't recognize the street. I looked around. Nothing felt familiar. I tried to open the map on my phone. No signal. I started walking, hoping to find the bookshop, but I walked in the wrong direction. After 20 minutes, I knew I was lost. My heart started to race. The buildings all looked the same. I felt small in this big city. I wanted to cry, but I stopped. I saw a woman walking her dog. I took a deep breath and said, "Hi, excuse me. I'm lost. Can you help me?" She smiled kindly. "Where are you trying to go?" she asked. I showed her the name of the bookshop. She gave me directions slowly and clearly. I said, "Thank you so much." She said, "No problem. You're doing great." Her words gave me hope. 10 minutes later, I found the bookshop. I sat inside with a coffee. My hands were still shaking, but I was proud. I got lost in New York, but I found my way in English. 2 weeks later, Miss Taylor gave us a surprise. She said, "Next class, each of you will give a short talk. Just 2 minutes. Talk about something you love." Everyone looked nervous, including me. At home, I thought hard. What do I love? What can I say in English? Then I smiled. I love flowers. Back in Brazil, I helped my grandmother in her garden. I wrote simple sentences in my notebook. I love flowers. They are beautiful and peaceful. In Brazil, I had a garden. I miss it. One day, I want to grow flowers in New York. I practiced every night, first with my voice low, then louder. I used shadowing to help with pronunciation. And I said the words while walking, thinking aloud. The day came, it was my turn. I stood in front of the class. My hands were cold. My voice was quiet, but I spoke. I talked about flowers, about Brazil, about my grandmother, about peace. When I finished, the room was silent. Then everyone clapped. Miss Taylor smiled and said, "Camilla, that was beautiful and honest." I felt like flying, 2 minutes of English. But a lifetime of courage. It has been 3 months since I came to New York. My English is still not perfect. But now I speak. I understand people at the cafe. I laugh with classmates. I even dream in English sometimes. Every day, I learn something new. A word from a movie, a phrase from a customer. A sentence from a book on the train. Some days are easy. Some days are hard. But I don't feel small anymore. I walk with more confidence. I speak without fear of mistakes. I still practice reading 30 minutes a day. I still do shadowing. I still think aloud. These small habits changed my life. Not fast, but for real. One evening, I stood on a bridge over the East River. I looked at the city lights. I thought about who I was before and who I'm becoming now. Learning English didn't just teach me words. It taught me courage. It taught me patience. It taught me how to start again. So if you're like me, learning, trying, hoping, I want to tell you something. You can do this. You are not alone. One sentence at a time. You're building your future. What did you think of Camila's story? What part inspired you the most? Have you ever faced something new and found strength inside yourself? Tell us in the comments, we'd love to hear your story. If this story touched your heart and if you enjoy emotional stories in English like this one, please like the video. Share it with someone you care about and don't forget to subscribe. And turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again very soon. Remember, life is emotional. So live your story. What did you think of Camila's story? What part inspired you the most? Have you ever faced something new and found strength inside yourself? Tell us in the comments, we'd love to hear your story. If this story touched your heart and if you enjoy emotional stories in English like this one, please like the video. Share it with someone you care about and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again very soon. Remember, life is emotional. So live your story.